Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. In this video, we got a very special video for you guys today. We're going to be going over, different mock drafts that we've seen and just talk about, just different guys in general that the Ravens have been linked to, who we may draft this upcoming Thursday with the 30th pick. So we have some offensive tackles, we have some wide receivers, we have some cornerbacks.
Right.
And it's all very exciting, just the film that we've been watching about these guys and, the overall good traits about them that, just imagining seeing that on the field, in M&T Bank Stadium.
Yeah.
So we can get right into it. We're
Before
going to
before we
first,
before we get started, you know, we don't want to sit here and claim that we're like these NFL draft, combine, or
oh no,
scouts or whatever. Like this is
oh
just
no.
from our it's gonna be a reference to our second channel, our casual opinion to these guys, like what the average NFL fan would see about these guys. We've watched plenty of videos breaking them down, some film, and we just kind of took some notes down for, how we feel about these guys, and you know, not everybody on this. Obviously, we're not going to select all these guys at 30 because that's legit impossible. You know, I have a I have certain people in mind. I'm pretty sure you have certain players in mind that you think is very realistic because you never know. Some of these players can go higher. Some of these players could fall to us, or maybe we don't draft them and they go somewhere else. So you know, I think there's maybe out of the 9 or 10 guys we're going to talk about today. For this is just for the first round, by the way, to really, because like how you had said, like there's only really maybe like 2 or 3 guys here who we realistically think could be a Baltimore Raven, but we're going to talk about the rest of them just in case maybe the Ravens skew in a different direction, just possibly.
Yeah, of course, of course. He hit it right on the ball. So we're going to start off with our first OT. We're going to talk about Amarius Mims, a guy that, both me and Jared like a lot. As you can see, his college, he played with Georgia. That's been one of the, arguably one of the best college teams in the past 3 years. They won back-to-back national championships. He was a junior. He's 6'8", 340. So he's a very freakishly big dude. Has great arm length. I assume that's his hand size right there. So great hand size. He has a total score of 82. And that's ranked about eighth in general. Is that about all of the prospects or just about the OTs? Do you know if that score is ranked all the
Bro, you said the 82, this 82
yeah, and then it says
or this
20,
82.
20 no, the total score. And then it says the 2024 combined OT ranked eighth.
We can probably check right here. That's actually a good question.
I think
We'll
it's
just
out
lay them.
yeah. I think it's out of the offensive tackles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably my
So
guess. Yeah, it's not
yeah.
good.
So a very great prospect for the Ravens. If they want to, go there, pick 30. He's pretty fast for also offensive tackle. He
Yeah,
had 5.7 40-yard dash, 5.7 5.07 40-yard dash. My apologies. He has a pretty good vertical jump, pretty good broad jump. I mean, he's a very athletic offensive tackle. So that's definitely something that the Ravens need. We
right.
as you guys all know, we brought in Derrick Henry this offseason, and we're going to need a mountain of offensive line to, really get his running game, his abilities going, and also the abilities for Lamar. I mean,
Right.
I'm pretty sure, we're going to be banging on that a lot this year is, faking out teams. What are we going to do? Are we going to give it to Derrick or are we going to do it Lamar?
Right.
So we need a mountain of offensive line to do that. So if we can just go to his good traits and his bad traits a little bit down here.
Oh, I actually have some written down.
You have
So,
some written down? Okay.
yeah. So, I've watched a few videos about him. Amarius Mims. He has great height and arm length, like how you had mentioned earlier. What was he, 6'8"? That's huge for an offensive lineman, especially a tackle. Having that monster. Hopefully, Lamar on his side angle throws wouldn't hit him in the back of his head. But anyways, he says he has great feet speed or good feet speed. He's a good run blocker, which is going to work for us. Obviously the Ravens love to run the ball. We've been, running the ball very effectively since 2018. Lamar's whole career, we've kind of, built the offense around the run game. It seems like last year was probably like one of the first years we kind of focused heavily on a pass game, but
Yep.
our run game was still very elite. And it's
Yep.
only going to get better with getting, excuse me, Derrick Henry. Um, to his great play strength. And one thing that I really liked here is he wants to assert his dominance. And why I like that is because how many times have me and you've kind of said like some of our offensive linemen just kind of play soft? They get beat pretty easily. They get dominated by on the edges or whatever. Especially the guy over at left tackle who we're gonna we'll look to replace hopefully by the next year. But this guy seems to want to throw you to the ground, get in your face about it, like kind of like express that he's the bigger guy in the situation. And honestly, we need those kind of dogs on our team, And I guess another thing is he went to Georgia, obviously Todd Monken's last gig before coming to the Ravens. So, I think this would be an amazing addition to the team. But along with the positives, we're also going to list off some negatives, something that we need to look out for. He's had lack of playing time. I think last year was his first year starting. I think the years prior, or I want to say his sophomore year, he was rotating with an already NFL tackle who got drafted, I believe, last year. I believe he's the tackle for the Rams right now, if I'm not mistaken. And but they understood how good he was, so they wanted to get him in there. So he hasn't really had a lot of playing time, but in the short amount of playing time, he's apparently been very impressive. So that's very encouraging to say the least. Inside part of the pocket can be weak, so he seems to struggle with pass rushers coming on the inside or making some inside moves. So obviously, like, when Lamar steps into the pocket, someone hitting him right away isn't going to be ideal, here. But, I think that's probably very coachable, fixing. Like I said, he hasn't, like I've heard and watched videos read about, he doesn't really seem to have played a bunch. So, but he seems to be a dog, even the times that he has played. So, you know, a lot of things can be coachable with him. Also another thing was an injury concern. I believe he got hurt at the combine, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly. But with his frame and his size, it could be risk for possible injury concerns. So that's also something to watch out for. A lot of our offensive linemen, haven't been available due to injury, like Stanley. Moses was hurt last year. Zeitler was dealing with some stuff, so that's something to look out for. I don't think he'll be on the board by the time we are at 30, unless a lot of teams feel that his lack of play in college may have hurt him a little bit. But you know, if he's there at 30, along with some of the other guys we're going to mention, I think we should take him, to be honest. But I'll really discuss that when we go over the guys afterwards. But I mean, we can read off some of the NFL. We can read off some of the NFL.com. You want to read off this overview here?
Oh yeah, of course, of course. So his overall overview. Talented tackle prospect carrying a picturesque frame and exciting NFL traits. Mims plays with pretty good technique and is ahead of the game with hand placement. He has the size and bend to create movement and adequate athleticism to make blocks on the move. Although he can be inconsistent in that area, he uses a two-hand punch that causes him to lunge forward a bit, but that should be correctable. It is very rare to see him clearly beaten by a rusher, which is great, and he has the recovery talent to do something about it when it happens. Mims has more development to go, but he's a day one prospect with the traits and talent to be considered at either tackle position. He has a high ceiling, but questions due to his lack of experience could temper early expectations.
Yeah, some of the stuff that I was talking about earlier has kind of popped up here, especially like your lack of experience. So that's going to be something interesting if the Ravens do wind up getting him. Um, do you have anything to say about his overview before I go into strengths and weaknesses?
Um, you know, well, I guess it'll show up here in some of his weaknesses too, but it seemed like all of his weaknesses, are very coachable, which is a great thing. With a lot of
Yeah,
prospects, we see they come in with things that is just, lingered with them, their whole high school career and their whole college career. But there's very few guys that have very coachable, cons about them. So this is very
right,
good.
right, exactly. So to go on to some of his strengths and weaknesses, like this is kind of an addition to part stuff that I wrote down. Outstanding combination of size, length, and proportionality. Fits into his drive blocks with good bend and a lift for leverage. Plays with deliberate hand placement and runs feet through contact. Keeps weight on inside half. I'm sorry, keeps weight on inside half when sliding out to rusher. Remember, hopefully they don't have any of those typos like they did last night. Remember when we were dealing with that last night when they had that one typo?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So hopefully nothing trips me up because they. Do you remember what that? Hopefully it wasn't one of these tackles. I'm gonna be very. But anyways, to continue on with the strengths and weaknesses, use direct punch with inside hands and or aggressive gather and snatch. Strong hands and pure mass help tone down power rushers, which is good. Some of our power rushers in our own division. Miles Garrett, TJ Watt. Some of these great rushers they have in the AFC North. Hopefully, he could be a good part of our if we wind up drafting him, of course. He could be a good part of this offensive line. Adequate recovery tools to fight back when beaten. So, obviously a green flag there. Even when he does get beat, he has the tools to be able to, you know, help win his battle still. So, anyways, you want to go over the weaknesses here?
Yeah, so for weaknesses, he has very limited experience, as you mentioned, and as we saw in his overview, with just 8 career college starts, which I didn't know it was that few, which is kind of crazy. He's inconsistent in sustaining blocks in the run game. Movements up to second level lack timing and accuracy. Feet get heavy when attempting to mirror a cross face rush challenge, and he needs to work on his forward lean at the top of the rush. So very coachable stuff, like how we mentioned. I like how you said, if he falls to us at 30, I would love to pick, that experience compared to other guys, maybe like Tyler Guyton, and I believe Josh Morgan is his name, maybe that hurts him.
Jordan.
Jordan, Joe Morgan or Jordan Morgan? What was his name?
Jordan.
Jordan Morgan. Yeah, his lack of experience compared to those guys, maybe that hurts him a little bit, but he's a freak. He's a freak of an athlete. He has, coachable, cons, like I said. I wouldn't mind it. I really wouldn't. And I like having these mountain guys, on our offensive line. So
Yeah,
he's
exactly. And like I said earlier, hopefully Lamar isn't throwing freaking balls off his back of his head, because he's so
yeah.
tall. But you know, I think the only thing that concerns me is a lack of experience. Not playing a lot of games at the collegiate level can be a problem, maybe, but maybe it won't. Maybe he just has that natural talent. Some of those players don't need all that experience to be able to go out and perform. So I guess we'll see. I believe he's a true junior, so I guess we'll have to see. So you want to go on to the next guy here, whoever the next guy is in your eyes.
Let's look at Tyler Guyton. Let's look at
All
Tyler
right.
Guyton. Here's our guy. So Tyler Guyton, once again, this guy is 6'8" as well. Played a he's Jared seems very jittery about this guy. This might be our guy, then according to him. I'm just playing. But he comes from Oklahoma. He's 6'8" as well, just like how Marius Mims was. He's 322, so give or take 20 to 25 pounds less than Marius Mims was, I believe. 34. He has great arm size. He has smaller hands than Marius Mims, it seems like. And his total score is 83, and I believe Mims was 82.
Mhm.
Um, so are you good there, bro?
Yeah, my allergies are going on with me.
Okay, yeah. So, and it seems like he has a higher offensive tackle rank than Amarius Mims, because
Yeah,
Mims was 8th and he is 7th. So let's look at his 40-yard dash.
you did it.
Yeah, oh yeah. So he has a 5.19 40-yard dash. So he's a little bit slower than Mims. He also did three cone drill and a 20-yard shuttle, which Mims did not do. So you know, combine results wise, Mims is a bit more impressive, but these are still pretty good for offensive tackle. It seems like, and we have a little bit more, sample size with his three cone drill and 20-yard shuttle. I'm not really sure how effective that is in rating offensive tackle, but the fact that it's there is pretty good for him. So let's go down. We can go down to his overview. Or do you have anything you want to say about him?
Yeah, I wrote some stuff down about Tyler Guyton here. Some of the positives. He's good in spurts, which I don't know if that's necessarily a positive, but maybe if we can, contain that, maybe instead of being spurts, it's more consistent. He's a big guy, like how we mentioned. He's 6'8" as well. I believe he's like 7, he's like 6'7" and like something. I forgot what it was, but they just rounded up to 6'5", 6'8". He has good arm length for a tackle as well, good athleticism, decent run blocker, but that comes kind of with a catch. it was saying he was a decent run blocker, but not all the time. So that's something to look out for, you know. So I guess probably they'll mention it down there in the weaknesses part, you know, when the overview and stuff. But some of his weaknesses are negative, you know, is his technique might need work. You know, that's kind of coachable, you know, the technique when it comes to that, you know. So hope you know we have some good offensive line coaches, I believe, you know, so they can probably help clean that up, you know. This even says we'll be a good starter within 2 years, so maybe we can throw him in right tackle. Maybe he can move to left, you know, if we wanted to, you know, picking him. Anyways, another, you know, kind of negative knock on him is he's inconsistent. You know, we've had a lot of inconsistent offensive line play, so I think it'd be more acceptable for a young guy. Maybe it's maybe a little less acceptable for a first round young guy, but you know, he was a redshirt junior, so he, you know, so that's he's probably like a senior, truly a senior. So, um, you know, I don't know how well that inconsistency is gonna affect us. Maybe he fix it all, not fixes it all, but like, you know, works his, you know, butt off in rookie camp and OTAs and all that stuff to maybe, you know, help clean up some stuff. But you know, I guess we can get into that later. You know, low awareness on some plays. You know, he may need a bit of work, like I was saying, like, you know, his technique might need work. You know, him overall might need some work in general, you know, to be able to become a starting tackle in this league. You know, they were even talking about him possibly not being a first rounder as well. So he was guaranteed to at least be a late first rounder, but a lot more, you know, drafts. You know, I've seen a lot of Ravens fans and Ravens, you know, media take him at first, but then they started moving on to the next guy, which is Jordan Morgan. So there might be some intangibles that are pushing people away from him. He's kind of a mid-pass blocker, and he has, like I said, he was a decent run blocker, but not all the time, like I said earlier. So, you know, something to really keep in mind. Like we need to, you know, really take into account, you know, for their run blocking ability, because that's going to be our thing next year still with getting Derrick Henry. So that's really something to take into account. And I've even had a few outlets call him bust potential. So you don't really want to call bust too early for a guy who hasn't played it down in the league, but um the fact that that was kind of highlighted that he could possibly be a bust potential is a red flag, you know, but you don't want to take too much, you don't want to put too much stock into that because they are just media guys after all, not football players or talent evaluators. So those are the notes I had on him. We can move down to the overview. You want to read this?
Yeah, of course. So, for his overview, ascending tackle prospect with the traits and tape to project a bright future as a high-level pass protector in the league. Guyton has battled injuries and had limited reps coming over from TCU after the 2021 season, but his flashes have been complemented by increasing consistency. He plays with a high center of gravity and needs to get stronger, but leverage hand strikes can help overcome those concerns. He should continue to get better as a run blocker, but might never shine in that department. Guyton's value comes with his pass protection, as he has the length, feet, and body control to become a human roadblock. He should become a talented starter at either tackle position. Um, so starting off before you get into the strengths and weaknesses. It seems like, maybe Mims fits the Raven scheme just a little bit more than Guyton, just a little bit more. I know we'll get into the overall overview, after we talk about Jordan Morgan, but just so far, it seems like Mims maybe fits that scheme a little bit more than
Yeah,
Guyton's.
yeah. And I've seen a little bit more negatives about Guyton than Mims. So, but anyways, to move on to his strengths, possesses athleticism for consideration at left or right tackle, which can benefit in our favor considering maybe Ronnie Stanley moves on after this year. Not confirmed, but I guess we'll see. Impressive movement, pulling and getting into space as a lead blocker. Hands are accurate, active in battle to gain advantage after strike. Fundamentally sound pass slides with good balance and quickness. Good awareness to protect the B gap against T and E twists. T and E. I wonder. Oh, I guess tackle and edge. Swifts. Length and footwork makes it easy to keep athletic rushers in front of him. Is light on starting experience, but heavy on coveted traits. So, you know, pretty good strengths there. I like the athleticism consideration for left or right tackle. I think if we drafted him, obviously, probably going to be right tackle with Ronnie Stanley starting at left. So, a lot of good intangibles here. But if you want to read out the weaknesses, maybe that'll push us away.
Okay. So, about his weaknesses, a tall player who plays too tall. limiting his ability to drive and sustain. Despite his athleticism, he misses targets in space more than he should.
Hmm.
Will need to get stronger and keep his feet under his pads in the run game. Has trouble pressing defenders out of his frame and protection, and he could have issues finding his anchor against a leverage bull rush.
Hmm. Yeah, so like I said earlier, a lot of this it seems to be low athleticism, inconsistent, play. You know, I don't exactly know what being too tall or play a player a tall player who plays too tall. Um, Maybe he's just one of those big oafs in certain situations, like running into guys or whatever. Hopefully, Lamar don't be running into him. If we want to draft him, but I think a lot of this has kind of turned me away from Guyton. To be honest, I saw a lot of Ravens fans and media taking him early on, but with all the combine stuff happening, and pro days and all that, I've kind of turned away from Guyton. If we did select Guyton, I wouldn't be upset, but I definitely wouldn't be thrilled, especially if other guys like Mims, Morgan, or Latham were on the board possibly. So, maybe Latham is a guy we can trade back for because in the first round, I wouldn't really be thrilled about it. But if it's like the early second round, mid second round, if he's still there and we select him, like we trade back from the 30th pick, I wouldn't be too upset. But, you know, not a big Tyler Guyton fan, to be honest, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if we drafted him. It wouldn't be like drafting Tyree Phillips or something.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you want to move on to the next guy here? Unless you have anything to say about Guyton?
Yeah, we can just move on to Jordan Morgan, our last OT prospect. Unless we
Nope.
have Latham too, but
Nope. We have Latham.
okay. He looks happy. Uh, not in this picture. I'm just saying. But
It's kind of high.
Jordan Morgan. Jordan Morgan. So he played with Arizona. He's 6'5", 311. So he's a little bit smaller than Amarius Mims and Tyler Guyton. Um his arm length or arm size is 32 inches. His hand size is 10 inches. So, again, just kind of smaller in every department than Mims and Guyton, which, me personally, how I would like to see the Ravens offensive line. I want big guys, big mountain guys. So that's definitely, not really helping in his favor. But, he's the fifth ranked offensive tackle. And he has an 84 total score, which is good. So maybe his abilities make up for being kind of, undersized compared to the previous two guys. So we just go back down to his we can go back to his combine results right here. So he ran a 5.04 40-yard dash. He has a 28-inch vertical jump, a pretty good broad jump. He's a pretty athletic offensive tackle, just going by these combine results right here. You know, we would have liked to see him do the three cone drill and the 20-yard shuttle just to see a little bit more sample size, with his results. But these are pretty good results. I mean, he's a fast offensive tackle, by these results right here. So is there anything you have to say about him?
Yeah, I wrote down some intangibles with him as well. It's funny. You said he's kind of undersized, but a lot of media outlets have him as good height at 6'5". That's still pretty tall for a tackle. They're claiming he's smooth. He's more consistent than some of the other guys. He's a good athlete. Possibly could move to guard with his height. While he is not the tallest guy, I think move to guard was in the cards here for some people that I read up on. He has good play strengths and he moves people, which is good. Considering you know, Morgan maybe didn't do so as well sometimes. But, I mean, Morgan was pretty good. It's just I won't be knocking him too hard because he was dealing with the injury last year. But anyways, some kind of his negatives. He is below average arm length, inconsistent as a run blocker. His arm length could hurt him as a pass blocker, possibly. And could be susceptible to bull rush, which is kind of unnerving just because like I said earlier, these AFC North guys, some of these elite guys in the league, might be like, especially bull rushers like Myles Garrett could really cause some problems with him. So with his arm length, I mean, I don't know how much arm length is going to matter just because Tyler Linderbaum had arm length questions coming into the 2023 season or 2022 draft. I'm sorry, season. What am I talking about? The 2022 season, yeah. So, but and he's turned out to be all pro guy. So you know a lot of not a lot of negative intangibles here that I really found. I mean, obviously, this website might have something different, with the actual NFL scouts, instead of my average opinion, but you know, um, the last part with the susceptible to bull rush does kind of turn me away. But yeah, we're gonna kind of go over the overview here if you can read that.
Yeah, so his overview, he was a 3-year starter who displayed his resilience and work ethic by coming back and playing good football after suffering a torn ACL late in the 2022 season. Morgan is both fluid and flexible in space with the ability to help spring running plays with second level blocks and play side lead blocking. He fails to secure backside cutoffs too frequently, but improving his pad level and landmarks might fix that issue. His punch approach diminishes his pass protection length and causes him to lose connection at the top of the rush. He will need to get his hands and feet synced up in order to improve his balance and consistency against athletic rushers. He's a capable run blocker and pass protector, and he features projectable upside with more work. Morgan has the traits and talents to become a solid starting left tackle.
Yeah, anything you say after that? Before moving to strengths.
I mean, he sounds honestly pretty impressive so far. Honestly, you know.
Anyways, to move on to the strengths, athletic in his lower half with the ability to redirect his weight in space, runs his hips under his hands on drive blocks and kickouts. Grip strength allows him to stay connected to run blocks longer. Well-timed combo blocks feature patience and pop. Effective jump sets help him eliminate rush plan and stall takeoff. Very good feel for depth of the pocket, slide quickness to catch inside counters, can flip loose hips to aid recovery when beaten. So, a lot of good intangibles here. He seems to be very athletic, very quick, able to recover from certain, failures in a pass, protection or run block, so a lot of great intangibles here that could really benefit us maybe taking him. As you see up here, he is round two projection, but I've seen some, mock drafts that did have us taking him in the first round. So, I mean, with where we're selected, it's pretty much the second round at this point, late first round, 30th, so maybe we could trade back from to not like overvalue him, but maybe it would be nice to have that feather option on him. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but you know, some good intangibles here. But with every positive, there's going to be a negative, which you can read off, and weaknesses here.
So yes, his weaknesses is long arm defensive ends stab and separate from him against the run. Below average landmarks see him beaten across his face on cutoff blocks. Below average landmarks. That sounds like some type of landmarks in cities or something. Some of their weaknesses I notice are kind of weird, really weirdly worded. Um, Needs to fire his hands with greater assertiveness and reset when necessary. Inconsistent balance and body control through contact. Tendency to stall feet during punch contact when opening side door. Allows weight to creep too far outside and past slides. Yeah, so again, some of these weaknesses are kind of weirdly kind of worded, like side door, like is he driving a car or something? Like what's going on here? You know, a lot of things here seem, coachable. It is concerning that he lets okay, like below average landmarks. I'm assuming they mean like below average, pass rushers or something, beat him across, on blocks or something. That is a little bit concerning if that's what that translates to. The fact that his body control through contact is inconsistent, that's a little bit concerning as well, but that can be coached up. Um, and tendency to stall feet, through contact, through the side door, I guess his car that he's driving or whatever. That does sound a little bit, concerning as well. So,
Right.
he does have some coachable weaknesses, but obviously, if he comes here, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think probably the most smoke on all these tackles is probably around Jordan Morgan here. Tyler Guyte would seem to be the guy at first, but it seemed to start to transition more into Morgan. Mims may be selected already before we get on there, and Latham's another guy who might be selected. Those two guys have a lot of upside here. Not upside, but a lot of smoke behind them to be taken before us. So I think if I had to be honest, Jordan Morgan is probably the guy you'll see receive a Ravens jersey Thursday night at whatever time we select, probably like 10:30 or whatever. I think the draft starts at 8. What time does the draft start? I think it starts at like 8.
Yeah, it starts at 8,
7 or
8:15.
8 or something. Yeah, and it will probably be on the board at like almost 11 o'clock. So maybe even later than that. So I think Jordan Morgan here is definitely the guy we'll probably see receive that Ravens jersey on the stand in Detroit. It's in Detroit, I think, in Detroit. On Thursday. And honestly, the guy that I'm kind of rooting for. I like his intangibles. He has a good flexibility with the possibility to move to guard. And we like that. We like versatile guys. We don't like some guys who could just play one position. I mean, that's nice, I guess, but I mean, maybe we trust Falele and we want Morgan at right guard and then Voorhees at left, or we know it, whatever. I kind of want to talk about that, after we're done on the prospects here, but we probably can get into our final prospect here. All
So
right.
JC Latham, he's from Alabama, obviously one of the best college programs you could ever play for. He's 6'6", 242 pounds, so he's a big guy. I believe he would be second to Amarius Mims in terms of size. He's about the same size, weight wise as Amarius Mims. Has great arm size. Has great hand size too. So his in terms of his prospect info, his size and his weight and his height, it kind of compares greatly to Amarius Mims. They're almost about the same. Um, as you see his prospect grade, he's listed as a year one starter. So, he'll be a guy that'll come right in and can start. And let's just go to his combine results real quick. Oh, let's just say he's also ranked.
Oh, okay. Meant to say, before he didn't do his combine,
Oh,
so
you
red
do his
flag.
combine? Okay.
I'm going to talk about why that's a red flag in a
Oh,
minute.
okay. I just wanted to point out before you get into that. Out of offensive tackles, he's ranked second. The first is probably Joe Alt. He's like the generational prospect offensive tackle in his draft. So that's pretty good. I remember yesterday in the mock draft that we did, we had Latham fall to us, and we were excited. We were excited like we were John Harbaugh getting Duvernay.
I always laugh when you were talking about that a few videos ago. You're like, he almost threw his desk and whatever
Yeah,
against
almost
the
flipped the
wall.
desk over. I was like, okay, Harbs, jeez.
Yeah, just for in the freaking barely playing.
Okay, but you can get into his inactivity in the combine.
Yeah, so before we get into all that, gonna mention his, positives first. Great size and arm length. Like how you said, he's 6'6", 35-inch arm length. He has great hand usage, possibly, they've another one that's possibly better as a guard, but he can switch probably from tackle to guard. Maybe his intangibles will work better there. But and he has great upper body strength. But there's been a lot of good talk about him, but I've also seen quite a bit, maybe negative as well. Looking up more up on him, I know the franchise guy didn't really like him that well, which was kind of eye opening. And one of the reasons he doesn't like him is, he may not hold up as a tackle. That's one of the reasons. One of the things he brought up in his video, and that's kind of concerning, especially since, we need to secure these tackle positions. And if we have Falele out there because Latham wants to play guard or needs to be guard, then, you know, I'm not too big of a fan, maybe, of a guy who, is probably better as a guard. Like, it's different for Morgan because it seems like Morgan can play guard and tackle, but it seems like Latham may work better as a guard. So, something to really, keep your eye out for. He has changed the direction issues. Speed rushers can be an issue. Not the best run blocker as well. And he didn't do his combine, and maybe he kind of hid some of his underlying flaws, maybe of athleticism, possibly, by not doing the combine. So, and there's no pro day stats here either, as well. So it's kind of a red flag for me. I mean, he's probably going to be good, but there are some underlying red flags to me about him, that may turn me away and maybe go in the way of, if it's between him or Morgan, I may go Morgan, but I don't know. The higher graded player, though, see, this is where it gets kind of confusing and where I'm glad I'm not in the GM here, excuse me, to make these decisions. So I think the no brainer would probably be Latham, but with some of his negative intangibles, kind of, red flag here, but I'm pretty sure the NFL will glaze him here.
Yeah. And I just want to say it kind of reminds me of the situation we had with Orlando Brown Jr. a couple years ago. He wanted to play as a guard, I believe, but we had him as a tackle.
Mm-mm.
And just
He,
something like
he
that.
wanted to play left tackle, I think.
Yeah, he wanted to play left tackle, but we always had Ronnie Stanley. I think that was before his injury, but
Right.
he reminds me a lot of that. And obviously we know how it ended up with with Orlando Brown. He ended up going to the Ops, he ended up going to the Chiefs and the Bengals. So, hopefully if we get late
Sure.
from that situation again, but I doubt it. I doubt it. But going into his overview, he's a bulldozer in human form with upper and lower body power to forcibly evacuate running lanes and instantly upgrade a team's ground attack. Latham's body type is girthy, and he has elite drive blocking talent. He has operated.
This freaking, NFL talk is kind of a little sus, but
Yeah, it's kind of,
anyways, continue on.
that threw me off guard a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but he has elite drive blocking talent. He has operated in a variety of run schemes, but will be an average move blocker both laterally and when climbing to the second level. His pass sets are well balanced with good initial quickness and active hands. He unleashes lefts and rights and mirrors effectively after contact, but gets beaten by inside moves when he
Mhm.
oversets. He has the length and hand strength to shut rushers down, but needs to become more comfortable setting diagonally rather than vertically to avoid sinking too deeply into his own pocket. Latham's size, strength, and talent give him a chance to become an heralded right tackle or Pro Bowl caliber guard. I kind of struggled there with diagonally. I'm not gonna lie.
It's all right. To move on to his strengths, the NFL.com lists built like an NFL guard, but protects like an NFL tackle. But you see what I'm saying? I was saying earlier, like
Yeah.
so these guards pretended to be tackles. These imposters. Anyways, quick in the pass sets, maintaining posture and balance through the rep. Sinks feet with active, independent hands for effective mirroring. Firm inside hand and consistent arm extension help negate pass rush momentum. Possesses true knockback pop with heavy hands with and explosive hips. Turns early advantages into quick knockouts with his furious finishes. Upper body power to catch, turn, and seal play side edge setters. Grip strength allows him to save blocks that start to slip away. So, pretty good, positive intangibles here. You know, but that guard tackle thing is, kind of interesting to me. That really catches my eye. But you can go on and read weaknesses here, bro.
Yeah, so for his weaknesses, he has average recognition and plan for pre-snap pressure looks, opens outside shoulder early and sets too deeply into the pocket. He gets beaten by oversets, being inside by oversets and down the middle by long arm stick and drive. Oversets to speed can be beaten inside and long armed, can be impatient into first contact as run blocker, causing him to lunge. Below average lateral quickness for backside cutoff blocks. Inconsistent entry angles make it tougher to seal and sustain his work. It's just crazy just to see the words and the kind of terminology that NFL insiders and maybe scouts use. It's like it's very detailed. Like some of this stuff to us it seems kind of weirdly worded and just like we don't know what they're talking about. Like the last like in our last video, it sounded like he was driving his car. It said like some type of side door or something, but we it's kind of, like a different language almost. So that's interesting, reading these
Right.
strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, so obviously, pretty good. He didn't really, as you see, played as an offensive guard, started off 13 game as tackle, then was All American at tackle. So kind of interesting. He's an interesting prospect. Probably willing to take a chance on him. If we had him or Morgan, but I think he'll probably be gone. By 30. In my opinion. So I mean, he seems like a good kid, meaning, like a good kid, like not personality wise or like, talent wise, and that's not like an uncle here, but
You're
anyways,
saying, you're saying kid and he's older than you. I'm just playing.
he's not, he's not older than, or maybe he is older than me. But anyways, what I was saying was, there are some certain red flags here, that do kind of keep me maybe away, but I think a smart pick would probably be him over Morgan if we had those two options. But if you had him or Mims though, it'd be the real question.
I mean,
Um,
well, Latham, I saw, a little bit down. He was first team SEC, and SEC is arguably one of the best football conferences when it comes to college football. So that's impressive right there. I mean, I mean, the SEC is the best conference. I mean, they always have their teams in it, so it's
You
impressive,
know,
right?
we got the Alabama to Baltimore pipeline for some reason. So
Yeah, yeah.
you
And
know,
Georgia pipeline now we got Monken, so it'll be tough.
what Georgia players do we have? Roquan played for Georgia, didn't he?
Yeah, Roquan play for Georgia.
But we traded for him.
Yeah,
I don't know. But anyways, we can move on here. These are the guys. These are the tackles we feel that really could be selected in the first round for us that may have the opportunity to fall or whatnot. But we're gonna probably move on to the second possibility of players, that not second, but second position that of need, that can really be, that can have players. I can't talk. That can have players, down at 30. So, and that's gonna be wide receiver. So, this is the bulk of really everything. I know wide receiver isn't maybe a position of need per se, but with this Bateman rumors, who knows what's gonna happen, with him and the Ravens. I mean, I'd kind of be mad going receiver in the first round, just for the fact that we need tackle probably more. But like, let's say all these guys are gone. What do you do then? Like, do you go receiver? So, but this might be another Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase situation. So, with Lamar getting sacked, in the Super Bowl or whatever, So, but anyways, to move on here, the first receiver we're gonna go over is
Keon
Keon
Cole,
Coleman. Keon Coleman. So you can read off all of the intangibles here
man, the
whenever
myth,
it loads.
legend. I'm just playing, but Keon Coleman. Oh, went down. Keon Coleman. He last played for Florida State. I think this was his first season at Florida State because he transferred from Michigan State. I think he played his first 2 years there.
Poor
But
kid.
what was that?
Said poor guy played at Michigan State.
But as you can see, his height, he's 6'3". He's 213 pounds. He has great arm size, good hand size. He's just a very big physical receiver. And one thing that, really jumped off from his tape was his contestant catchability. You could just throw it up to him, he'll catch it. He's pretty fast for his size as well. He obviously has very strong hands, so any ball you throw it to him, there's a 99% chance he'll catch it, and that's very good for, a rookie coming out of Florida State. You don't really hear too many Florida State wide receivers, coming into the league and being, pretty good. So that's really good. In
That
terms
40
of
is ass.
Oh yeah, 40, for a guy for his size, it's pretty good, but
No.
it's wide receivers in general, it is a little bit lacking. I will say that. It is a little bit lacking. Obviously we have guys in this draft class like Xavier Worthy. He had like a 4.2, which is
Well,
insanely.
to be fair, Mitchell is like an inch shorter than him, and he ran like a 4.4.
Oh wow. But I mean, how much does Mitchell weigh? Is he like in around the 213 range?
I'm gonna have to.
I mean, we can get to that.
Yeah, we can get to that, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, but in terms of his wide receiver rank, he's 22nd ranked out of all the wide receivers so far, which really just goes to show you there's a lot of depth in this wide receiver class this year. There's a lot you can't really go wrong with whoever you pick, really. His 10-yard split, it is what it is. His vertical jump, everything looks pretty good for what's there, besides the 40-yard dash. Uh,
Yeah.
so we can get to his you get to his overview, but do you have anything else you want to say about him first?
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't say his 38-foot vertical jump. I think I cut that out the last video, but that was so I still had to get you for that. Because I keep looking at it, I'm like, don't say 38 feet. Like, come
No,
on. Anyways, some of the
you guys
positives I
need to hear
have.
that. I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
You weren't supposed to hear that. I'm supposed to cut it out in the last video, but you're hearing it now. So, but anyways, some intangibles here. He might be the big body receiver that we're possibly looking for. There is a big body receiver in this draft that I prefer, but we'll get to that in a second. He has good athleticism. He may not be fast, but he has good play speed. Definitely with this, high catchability, this big body go get it. He is a red zone threat, so it'd be nice to have more than just Mark Andrews in the red zone. Like I said, contested catch guy, and he seems to make it more the odds better than 50-50 in his favor. So maybe like 60-40, 70-30, contested balls. But some of his weaknesses here are he struggles in the short game. Sorry, it's just these words for these football players is just very very suspect. But anyways, we're children. But anyways, he struggles in the short game, so he's not going to be a big, short intermediate guy. Maybe like I said, a big deep threat. A guy who's going to go and get it. Like I said, he's not fast, as the 40 yard, really proves, running the 4.61 as a receiver. Really only a big body X guy, like I was saying. Like, I mean, it's not really a negative. It's not a knock on him, but it's just that's kind of what he's only limited to. And also possibly has, honestly, I would say he could possibly be a bust with these. Some of his player comparisons have been to like Michael Pittman or Michael Thomas, even though Michael Thomas only runs slants. So maybe I don't know if he could run slants as well, but you know a guy with great athleticism. He's not very fast, but he is good at play speed, and you know it'd be nice to have a big body guy. But we're gonna need to keep Lamar upright. So I mean, all these wide receivers are kind of just, I guess, pipe dreams. I guess if we had an offensive line already, but I don't know if I would select Coleman as my first receiver off the board, to be honest. As you can see, 2 to 3 Drake London comparison. I've seen him in the first round plenty, so that's why we're talking about him. But anyway, you can read the overview here, bro.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on, you said you've seen him compared to Michael Thomas and Michael Pittman. I know, even though they call Michael Thomas slant boy and all that, he can't even lie. In 2018 and 2019, he had the league on lock. He was really good. So if we do get him, even though it's unlikely, and he ends up being a Michael Thomas, that would be great. I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. That would be great.
Hopefully
'Cause
not, because Michael Thomas never stands in the field.
yeah, I hope he doesn't take that away from Michael Thomas's injury history. But anyway, going to his overview, he's a above the rim artist with circus catches resembling a scene from the tents of Cirque du Soleil. They got a little bit French there with us. Uh, Coleman,
Wait, what does that say? Hold on.
a Cirque du Soleil, yeah.
You speak French?
And I took it in high school. Oh, God.
That doesn't count. Baltimore City schools don't teach languages.
Oh my God. Coleman has excellent size and ball skills. He's not sudden and doesn't have great speed, so kind of like what you mentioned. Um, So beating press and creating breathing room against tight man coverages will depend on his ability to improve as a route runner. The former star basketball player has a rebounder blend of extension and timing to give jump ball defenders the blues. He's big and strong with soft hands, but he can play with a little bit more aggression and claiming his deep ball space and getting after it as a run blocker. Coleman might lack the athletic traits to be a well-rounded wide receiver too. Instead, keep an eye on him as a big slot receiver who could be a red zone specialist. So, before, you get into the strengths and all that, we saw what happened with Duvernay. He was a great contesting catch wide receiver, but when it came to creating separation, he would just struggle. He was just bad with it. You know, I kind of stuttered at my words because that's just how unimpressive he was when it came to that. So I'm not really sure if we were looking for that with a wide receiver. We want a guy that can be shifty, with his route running, and kind of get open, give Lamar at least some space to throw because we know Lamar likes to overthrow the ball a lot. I can't even lie. He likes to do that a lot. So at least give Lamar some space to overthrow you and you can run to the ball. But that if we do end up getting Kel Coleman, which I highly doubt, that would definitely be something he needs to work on. Because when has the Ravens ever had a great, wide receiver known for his route running? I
Right.
mean, maybe besides Steve Smith and maybe kind of Mike Wallace a little bit, but those guys were towards the end of their careers. I'm not sure Anquan Bolden route running was really his thing. It was really just his physicality and his hands. But
Maybe he could be like Eggworm.
yeah, 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 that is true. That is true. And we might have another Anquan again.
Right. We get his son.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, to go on to the strength, are you done with that, or are you kind of go to strengths?
You can go to strength.
All right. So his strengths: prototypical size and high end ball skills, attacks underneath throws with extended sticky hands. See what I'm talking about? Like, what is this verbiage, man? Come on, dog. Works aggressively back on short and intermediate throws. Unlikely to see focus drops when watching his tape. Meets jump balls with full extension to the high point. Uses size gain an advantage over cornerback on jump ball wins. Hard to bring down after catch and as a punt returner. So I mean, I guess we got our punt returner and kick returner and Hardy, so like we don't really need him in special teams, but This all just seems the same. Like he's a jump ball guy. He's gonna be the guy to win the 50-50 balls, So, you
Yeah.
know, obviously we got a wide receiver one, I guess, in Zay, and maybe he could fit as wide receiver two, depending on the future of Bateman here.
Yeah, so his weaknesses: press coverage can blanket his release and catch a ride. Below average acceleration, getting out of breaks and cuts. Could struggle finding separation to avoid excessive contesting catches. Needs to play through downfield corners to secure catch space. Capable of being a much more effective run blocker. So obviously for a guy with his size, you want him to be a very good run blocker. So hopefully, to whatever team he goes to, he can improve on that. Because I actually
Yeah,
really like Keon Coleman. He really seems like a down to earth guy and a really overall solid prospect and a good person. So I really like him.
you friends with him?
We wish.
Get some money. Say no, no, no
Oh no,
seriousness
no,
though. No, no seriousness though. Yeah. I don't even if the Ravens were going to select receiver in first round, I don't think it'd be Coleman to be honest.
yeah.
And to be honest, I hope it wouldn't be this next guy, Xavier Worthy. That's hell of a picture.
So don't do it yet. Don't do him just yet.
So anyway, you can read off his stats here.
So Xavier Worthy, he's
Why did you do that? It's getting me mad. I don't care about your ads.
So for Xavier Worthy, obviously, he played at Texas, which they had a very damn good receiving core this past season. That has to be mentioned. He's from Fresno, California,
Didn't win anything.
5'11", weighs 165 pounds. So he's going to be, like one of those Hollywood Brown type of receivers, really small, really just kind of undersized. He has, kind of small arms, 31. I know it's really small hands. That's like the smallest hands we've seen so far out of any of the prospects that, we've looked at. But when you look at his total scores at 88, he's a third ranked wide receiver prospect, which is really good. But I assume that's from his combine stats, which we can get into right now.
Jeez.
You can see a 4.21 40-yard dash. That's like the fastest of all time, I believe, as of now. Um, just very fast, just a very fast dude. His combine results just jump at you. They really do. And we would have liked to see a three cone drill. Man, I don't is that like a not a popular, combine, kind of thing to do, the three cone drill and all that? Because that seems like nobody has done that. But
Um, I don't
his
know. I've never been in the NFL Combine, unless it's
obviously
unless it's like the NFL eating combine. Me and you can both do
no, 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 we're not gonna do that.
that.
But anyway, his
You'd ace
combine
that.
results, his combine results really jump out at you. And I've heard the Ravens kind of, being linked to his name a lot. I would, me personally, before you get to his overview, I wouldn't want him just because he would kind of remind me of a Hollywood Brown. He's probably even faster than Hollywood Brown, to be honest. But
Yeah.
we don't need another small, kind of very slim reaper type of receiver. We want a big body receiver, kind of like Keon Coleman, a Xavier Leggett build, like a guy built like DK Metcalf is kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Uh, so you can get your takes in, and then we'll go to the overview.
One of his player comps. I wonder if it's down here. Oh, Tank Dell. I'm gonna
Be
say
good.
another player comp someone gave him is actually Jalen Waddle, because Jalen Waddle's actually shorter than him. So, anyways, some of his Xavier Worthy's intangible is he's very, very fast. I mean, obviously with the fastest 40-yard dash in NFL history, he's very fast. Um, broke the 40-yard dash record. The next one at a 4.21. Elite change of direction, elite athleticism, can be schemed open pretty easily, and a good route runner. So, obviously the things you want as a receiver, getting open, can be schemed open, kind of like these Tyreek Hills of the world, kind of what we imagine maybe Marquise to be, but I don't know, like I'm gonna move on to the negatives here. He's kind of a lightweight with him being only 165 pounds. So, maybe a guy who's gonna get blown up on a scrimmage. Not a contested catch guy at all. Can struggle with contact at the line. So these elite corners in the league, maybe they can bully him on the line so he can't get open. Small, 5'11", I mean, we already got Zay. He's a dog, but Zay's pretty small in himself. Can be easily redirected and like how I was saying, like with these corners pressing him on the line, maybe he gets, pushed around a lot, and I mean, if we were selecting a receiver in the first round and struggling on offensive line here with sending out like Voorhees, Cleveland, and Falele, he's gonna need to get open quick. So, and if he gets bullied on the line, that's just gonna kind of be a disappointment. But I don't think he's gonna be a Raven anyway. He's all like you said, like you've said, and a lot of other people. He's a Hollywood Brown comp, which I guess could be a good thing for the Ravens, and specifically because he was Hollywood Brown was definitely, or Marquise Brown, if you're not familiar with his nickname, um, can be was Lamar's best deep ball receiver, to be honest. So, maybe Worthy can separate the gap between Lamar's and his overthrows, but you know I don't know. I wouldn't like this pick, to be honest, but I'll probably get into it after you go over this overview here.
Yeah, so had his overview, and obviously, I kind of like his player comparison to Tank Dell. Tank Dell, I think it can be one of the best kind of wide receiver number twos in the league, and maybe after Diggs leaves, it could be a wide receiver one. But get into his overview. Worthy's draft sliding could come down to draft room debates weighing his elite speed versus his thin frame. Worthy will find separation if allowed to explore vertically or across the hashes against man coverage, but he lacks play strength and release quickness to defeat a quality NFL press. His quick strike potential adds an element of danger over the top and should open wider windows for teammates to work into. He lacks the physical tools to catch when contested and needs to prove he can hold up to a more physical brand of football. Worthy is a niche prospect for teams looking to add a legit field structure, but areas of concern could create a wider gap between ceiling and floor.
Yeah, so to move on to your strengths, unless you got anything else to say about that overview, um, this right here concerns me. Because we don't really have the contested catch guy, and why would we draft another guy like that? So, anyways, his strengths: deep speed requires additional defensive attention, creates space and loosens coverage for teammates. Separation is inevitable when routes ask less of him. Which I don't know if how that's a strength. Um, well, I guess I get it, but if you're getting drafted in the first round, wouldn't you want more? Um, more of them. I'm not a big Xavier Worthy fan. I'm sorry. Displayed ball tracking improvements against Alabama and Houston. Has bend and agility to run post corner and whip routes effectively. There will be problems for defense if he breaks a tackle after the catch. Problem is that's if, and he's a small guy. So this ain't college anymore where you're playing with, kids coming out of high school, whatever. You're playing with men. So luckily Roquan's on our team, but let's say if we play Roquan, maybe even Patrick Queen can, toss him around, if he comes over the middle. So I don't know. He don't got he don't got Papa over there, Roquan anymore. So I don't know. I'm not a big Xavier Worthy guy, to be honest. I'd honestly be probably very upset if we select him in the first round, to be honest. Um, like there's literally no point. You got Zay, he's a good speedy guy. Go get that big guy, go get that big X guy, and he's just not one of them. But you can read the weaknesses here.
Yeah. Jared, he isn't a big XWF Xavier Worthy fan. But getting into his weaknesses, he's thin and lacking functional strength to fight through press. Needs to improve efficiency and quickness getting off the ball, which is kind of concerning considering, that's his speed is like his number one thing. Lack of hand strength gets him bullied on the contesting catches, takes reps off when he's not expecting the throw to come his way, fails to adjust his speed to ball placement consistently enough. So those are some very big red flags that we're seeing here as weaknesses. You can't
Yeah.
never give up on the play. I'm sorry, like one of the biggest plays in Ravens history, Jacoby Jones mile high miracle. What if he gave up on the play and he let Raheem Moore, tip the ball? We don't go to the Super Bowl that year. You know what I'm saying? Jacoby Jones kept being aware on that play. I'm pretty sure he was in the first read. I mean, Torrey Smith was torching Champ Bailey, we had Anquan Bolden, we had Dennis Pitta, but you can't just give up on plays like that. So that's a very big red flag, in my opinion.
That's actually probably a poor story to bring up, a poor comparison just because apparently I was watching the video with Jacoby Jones. Not apparently, I was watching a video with Jacoby Jones telling the story about the Mahai Miracle, and Like he was saying, like Flacco was saying, like just go deep, just go deep. I'm gonna
Oh,
throw it
he
to
was
you.
first read. Okay, he was a first read. Okay.
And but no, but he Jacoby Jones, when he ran his route, he turned around and he's like, he can throw the fucking ball. And then he saw it in the air, he's like, oh shit, like, he had to go run again. I don't think you've seen that. I gotta let you I gotta make you watch that. That was actually funny. That was a funny story.
Oh, yeah,
Jacoby
okay.
Jones is a funny dude, but I do get what you're saying though. He probably is gonna be a diva in the NFL. Let's be right here. Like, you know.
Well, that's if he gets good, at least.
Yeah,
So
especially I don't know. Like maybe he won't be a diva. Maybe he can tweet out another soldier's tweet like Hollywood Brown, So, but anyways, we can move on probably to our next guy here.
our favorite guy.
Ooh, can't spell his name. Freaking Mike was in the way. This is probably my second favorite guy.
There we go. Okay. Well, here we have Adonai Mitchell here, who I think he likes to go by 80 Mitchell. I've seen a lot of people call him that, but I just want to
Ad.
say he's very similar to Mark Andrews in the fact that I think they're both type 1 diabetics, so that's kind of interesting, maybe it would be interesting to see like both, players with these conditions on the team and, kind of how, especially the Ravens, health facility and strength department kind of deals with that, if we go this direction. But obviously he's from Texas, he played with Xavier Worthy. He's 6'2", 205, so he has a pretty good size for a wide receiver. Um, he has pretty good arm length for a receiver as well. He's the seventh ranked wide receiver prospect. He has a total score of 81. In his prospect grade, they have him eventually will be a plus starter, which is pretty good. So let's just go down to his combine results. Ran a 4.3 4, which is really good for a receiver. He has pretty good combine results. They really jump out at you, and I wouldn't mind the Ravens having him. I mean, is there anything you want to say before we get to his overview?
Yeah, very, good 40-yard dash here. I love the athleticism score, being the third ranked, receiver in this combine. I think Xavier's was 98, but I'm not a big Xavier fan. I'm a big Mitchell fan though. He's 6'2". I didn't know he was this tall to be honest. Honestly, he definitely has the potential to be wide receiver one. Whatever team he goes to. Hopefully it's not like the Bills or the Chiefs or something, but
I will be.
I'm gonna say it probably will be the Bills and or the Chiefs, but I'm very impressed with his speed, as well. Underrated here. But anyways, to move on to some positive intangibles here. He wide receiver one potential, like I said, he's an elite mover. Save stamina on routes. That could also be used possibly as a negative. Viewed as possibly a negative, and I'll explain in a minute. He's very fast. And consistent hands as well can be unlocked pretty easily. Um, a lot of people are kind of claiming maybe possible bust potential with him, but I don't really see it with him. Um, hasn't produced much with Texas, maybe. I believe I want to say he played for Georgia before he transferred to Texas, if I'm not mistaken. I probably want to look that up real quick. I looked it up, just doing a quick search here. It doesn't say the teams, of course. Here we go. So
Okay.
yeah, so not a lot of production in his career so far. Didn't even have 1,000-yard season in college, but you know, I would say his best year obviously here in Texas. But you got to remember they had a lot of receivers,
Oh
and
yeah.
and and also Georgia's not really. They seem to be a tight end system,
They have Rock
So
Bauer.
yeah, so like they weren't really receiver centric here. They didn't really get a lot of those guys, but going back to his negatives here. Um, say stamina on routes. And I don't exactly know how. I guess I understand how you want to save your energy for the whole game, but like, I think he'll probably. I don't want to view it as a negative as well, just because I think he'll probably use it well. I mean, he's an athlete, he's a football player, he knows how to use his body. Um, lacks urgency on some routes and lets the ball come to him. So he's not really going to be a, you know, what's it called? Like a guy's gonna come back to the QB, on certain routes or whatever. So something to be concerned about. But anyway, you can read his overview here.
Yeah, so it's overall overview. It's overall overview. Ascending prospect with size, speed, and ball skills become a very good NFL receiver, but he's still in the process of bridging those traits. Mitchell can beat press and has the speed to take the battle to the third level, but he's still learning the art of bullying. Interesting words there. The art of bullying to bullying to catch space in tight quarters and jump ball battles. He's not always a natural hands catcher, but his ability to snare balls outside his frame is top notch. His route running currently lacks focus and consistency, but agility and burst out of breaks will not be an issue. Mitchell is rugged after the catch and has the ability to become a winner on all three levels. The difference between becoming a wide receiver two or wide receiver one could rest on his urgency and willingness to go to work on the unpolished areas of his craft.
Nice. I like that. Um, to go to his strengths, Flash's foot quickness needed to beat NFL press. Excuse me. Speed shiftier inside the route with sudden change of direction. Stands ground and keeps landing area to boundary open on deep sideline throws. Ridiculous catch web, bringing in off frame throws from all directions. Already using an NFL two drop near boundaries, so he's not doing that one drop, 1 foot, in bounds crap that the college does. He's already doing the 2 feet. Patient long ball tracker, noted jump ball winner, able to break tackles and fall forward for positive yak, which is the difference between worthy, which it says he's able to break instead of if he can break. So something I don't mean to trash worthy the whole time, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. For his weaknesses, intensity can fluctuate from game to game, allows smaller players into his space to contest catches, cradle catcher who fights football when catching with hands, needs to keep routes on time with better efficiency and finish, doesn't play with aggression or sustain when asked to run block. So kind of some things that kind of stand out here is it seems like he kind of tends to catch with his body a lot, and not his
Yeah.
hands sometimes, which would be kind of a red flag. Um, but again, he's a very impressive wide receiver prospect, and I would love the Ravens to get him. Unfortunately, I saw some kind of negative things about the fact that he's a type 1 diabetic. But like I mentioned earlier, we have Mark Andrews on our team. He's had a pretty good career despite having it. So, um,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
see that too. I didn't. That seemed kind of like BS to me. I don't know. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't really see. I think it was that ML football page on Twitter. He's awful.
yeah.
I hate his content. He's a terrible. I don't even think he's truly a reporter on the internet. He's like terrible.
It's just not fair to kind of have against him like that.
Right.
And not praise
Exactly.
him. So.
Exactly. So if we were to go receiver, this is one of the two guys I like. And how about you? I mean, would you like to get him? Like to be honest.
I would like to get him. He's my number one guy. I really do like Brian Thomas Jr. a lot, but I don't think he'll come. I don't think he'll drop to us. And it seems like we're more OT centric and focused in this draft. So, but if we're going receiver, this is the guy I like him and Brian Thomas Jr.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our second to last guy here. Lad McConkey. How do you say that?
McConkey, I think it's Lat McConkey.
Lad McConkey. All right, we're gonna.
So our second to last wide receiver prospect we'll be looking at is none other than Ladd McConkey. He's very, very he caught a lot of steam this past season being at Georgia, very strong hands, just a very great receiver for their scheme. Um, you know, Obviously he won two back-to-back national championships with them, but going into his height and weight, he's 6 foot, 186 pounds. His arm and hand size kind of on the smaller size, kind of on the smaller end. And that could really go for his height and weight as well. He's kind of one of the more smaller, wide receiver prospects. But if we do draft him, like how you mentioned, before we did this video, he has that connection with Todd Monken, and kind of what he wants in his offensive schemes, and you know, I can see the Ravens maybe going in that direction, but I see him more as a second round guy, maybe even third round, but I don't think he'll drop that far. But I see him as a second round guy. But going to his combine results, he ran a 4.3, which is pretty good. His total score is 80. He was ranked 10th out of the wide receivers in this year's draft. He did 13 bench press reps, which is more than me and you could do. I'm just playing, which is pretty good. And his combine results are solid. They really are pretty solid. So what is your opinions on him before we get to the overview?
He jumped 36 feet too. That's gonna be a joke for all our NFL draft videos to come afterwards. But anyways, you know,
Don't forget it by next year, so it's okay.
no, I'm gonna remember. I'm putting a note in my phone, be like, this guy called it feet instead of inches. But anyways, I like the 40-yard dash. He seems to have quick speed. I've heard a lot about his route running. How it's one of the best in college football. Hopefully, maybe one of the best in the league. Maybe one of those Hunter Renfrow types, Julian Edelman. If it needs to stop doing that, I don't want to see these old guys. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, elite route runner. It seems like he's going to be in this league. And if he can, maybe it could be a nice little steal for us. Maybe if he doesn't get selected in the first round, maybe we can get back into the first round. Maybe I'll get back to the second round. Like maybe trade with somebody. Maybe Bateman or something like that to get this guy. But I don't know. Maybe we just get another guy we won't use. But anyways, some of his intangibles here. He's already worked with Monken in Georgia, like how you said, so he already has a connection there. He's an elite route runner. His change of direction is amazing. He has elite acceleration and a slot guy, can move outside as well. So that versatility right there is going to be huge if you wind up keeping him. Some downsides. He has smaller hands, doesn't really have a big catch radius, can have drop problems in a smaller frame. So, you know, like how you were saying, smaller on the wide receiver end. He's taller than Worthy though. So, so this is a Worthy hate video. But I promise I don't hate Worthy. It's just I really, really don't want the Ravens to draft him. Maybe I'll do it in Madden, but it's not
Yeah,
not
yeah.
not in real life. Yeah, I did actually. That's true. So, there's a lot of positive things with Lad here, but you know I don't know if his style is gonna like be very not as I don't think his style of play would probably work with the Ravens, to be honest. The short route runner, who's gonna he doesn't have a big catch radius. Well, I mean, what do you think here? Like, he's already gonna be a second or third option, so like, what do you think?
You know, he'd
I
be
don't know if he'd
perfect.
fit with the Ravens.
He'd be perfect on the Rams because you already know Matt Stafford. I'm just playing. I'm not gonna say that joke. But you know, I would prefer, obviously a guy like, AD Mitchell over him, and Keon Coleman. I don't feel like he would fit with the Ravens. I feel like the Ravens don't really need a smaller frame wide receiver. They need a big, body wide receiver, 6'3" and up. I'd say, or 6'2" and up, because Adonai Mitchell is 6'2". Six
Right.
two and up, but preferably maybe even 6'3" and up. That's what we need. We don't need a guy that's going to be kind of like a slot guy. We already got that, and we already got, we already got our tight ends, and I guess which we're kind of going to be using Isaiah likely more as a wide receiver this year, maybe. Where there's also kind of, been some hints that maybe they want to throw Malik Cunningham at wide receiver.
No.
So and which I don't like either. But Carbs is with experiments. But we need a big wide receiver. We don't need no more kind of slot guys. So I don't
Right.
think it really fit with the Ravens. And the drop problems kind of do concern me a lot. Because it seemed like when it comes to the Ravens receivers, they start to drop the ball at the worst times. They don't want to
Right.
drop it when we're winning 45 to 10. They want to drop it when we're losing 23 to 20 or by 2 points or something. And it's the fourth quarter with like 1 minute left in the game or something on fourth and 10, and that's it. So, we don't need that no more. But to get into the overview, if pass rushers have rush plans, McConkey has route plans that allow him to uncover on all three levels. His pace and rhythm make cornerbacks more reactive than proactive. He has the footwork and body control to snap off crisp breaks and open windows for his quarterback. He can manipulate coverage with an advanced feel for leverage and has enough top end speed to get past cornerbacks who are non-believers. He might be not sudden enough to beat press and will need to prove he has enough to play strength. He has enough play strength to finish contesting catches. What are you laughing at?
I'm not
Um,
laughing.
like, man. McConkey's 2023 injuries might have slowed the draft conversation about him, but his route polish, athleticism, and ability to uncover over the first two levels could make him a productive slot wide receiver as a day two pickup.
Day two pickup. They have him as day two, so maybe not round one here, but some of his strengths difficult to keep him from uncovering due to his route running ability. Rhythmic route runner who keeps his feet under his pads for crisp cuts. Crisp cuts. That sounds like a lunch meat.
Of
Of
course,
course,
you
I'm talking about food. No, I beat you to it. You couldn't
no,
say it.
no.
No.
Read the strings. Read the strings. Read the strings.
Consistently manipulates corners into pushing their leverage. Has enough vertical speed to keep coverage honest. Natural hands catcher who typically plucks it away from his body. What else would he catch it with? His natural hands catcher. He's gonna catch it with his face, his
Hair fiber.
shoulders. You said what?
His hair fibers.
His pores. Like, anyways, slippery punt returner with vision of running back. So you can move on to the weaknesses here.
Wow. I mean, he had every other guy they gave like five weaknesses to, right? He has four. That's crazy. It seems like,
Yeah, only one less.
his weaknesses: modest play strength could create issues in beating press, limited production in 2023 due to back and ankle injuries, alarming number of deep ball tracking drops in 2022. Wow, so they're dinging him for things from 2 years ago. Average acceleration driving through route stems. So I mean,
Oh,
their weaknesses aren't really that bad that they listed for him. I mean, it's this I don't know.
right. So, I mean, now that I kind of read all those, maybe he would be kind of a good fit for the Ravens, but I don't know. Like, the Ravens aren't really like this route technician team. Like, they just want those crossers and slants and go routes. So, the
Uh,
Ravens don't know how to scheme guys open. So,
look what they did with OBJ. They made his route abilities like look like he was a first year rookie or something.
so yeah. Hopefully Monkey can improve on that. But we're gonna go to our last receiver here.
My favorite, or one of my favorites.
Brain. Brain. They always select the worst photos, dog. They always got him looking like bugs for no reason. Like select better. Like just like a photo of Brian Thomas here. He's all attentive, smile. But they gotta stop taking pictures of him when they're off guard, man. Like, come on, dog. Anyways,
Uh, we're not roasting them no more. All right. Anyways, Brian Thomas Jr. is from Walker, Louisiana. Obviously, he played at LSU. With a very crowded wide receiving core. He played with Malik Neighbors. I believe they had another guy too. That's a dog, but him and Neighbors were the top two threats on that offense. He's 6'3", 209 pounds. I think he has about the same arm size as McConkey. Maybe he has an inch more. Kind of small hands, but it's kind of average hands, I would say. Let's go down to his combine stats.
ooh,
Uh, yeah, so he has a lot, more than enough, that we've seen with other guys. He has ran a 4.33 40-yard dash. That's really good, so he's pretty fast. He's the fifth ranked wide receiver in this year's combine with a total score of 86. So this is a guy I'm really high on. When me and Jared, we did a Madden franchise, like drafted him, on my
no, you
team. I,
didn't.
I did, and
No, you
he's
didn't.
pretty, he's a pretty good prospect. You
You
know,
lied on the camera.
I did draft Brian Thomas on my team.
No, you did not.
Yes, we did the Texans and the Falcons. I drafted him. I did.
No, you didn't. You traded for Jefferson, didn't you?
You traded for Jefferson on
No,
that
I
team.
did not.
Justin
But
Jefferson, yes, you did.
that franchise don't even count because you. Anyways,
You were discombobulated over here, but I'm very high on Brian Thomas Jr. or as I call him, BTJ. I've heard some people call him, but it's like one person I heard call him that. But I'm very high on him.
yeah, you.
He is my I guess he would be my 1A, favorite, wide receiver prospect in this draft. And AD Mitchell could be 1B. But I really like, his skills. I really think he's a fast guy. He has very, despite his having average hand size, he has really strong hands. He's 6'3", like what the Ravens need. I said that we should get a receiver that's 6'2" or above. He's 6'3". I feel like, he even has the possibility to add some more muscle, as his NFL career goes on. So I really like Brian Thomas Jr. I don't see him falling to the Ravens, and even if he does, I mean, I don't know. The Ravens could get him, but I think we're more, like I mentioned, a couple prospects ago, we're more offensive tackle focused, it seems like. But again, the Ravens are known to be a best guy available type of team when it comes to drafting. So, you know,
Mhm.
it'll be a tough choice, if he's available by the 30th pick. But he's getting tired of me talking here, I see. Okay, we'll go to you. What are your thoughts about him?
Yeah, so some positive intangibles he has is like you had mentioned, he ran a 4.33 at the combine, good size and speed, good catch radius, go and get it guy, and great acceleration. Kind of like a guy we need on our team probably. Some negatives
Probably
below
need it.
average, huh?
So not probably, we do need it.
Yeah, so some of the negatives are below average change of direction. Only a straight line guy can really maybe be a positive for the Ravens. A straight line guy. We got Zay. You know, um, what's so funny about that?
'Cause that's the only routes we have him run anyways, straight lines.
Not really a short game guy. Can have a little bit of problems with the drops, and kind of like what I mentioned with the straight line. Really only a deep ball guy possibly. So, but yeah. So maybe those could work in the favor of the Ravens. Maybe for other teams it might not work well, but maybe he could be a good fit for us. But I don't think he comes here to be honest, just because he might be selected a little bit earlier than we maybe would have hoped. But anyways, you can read his overview here.
Yeah, Harbs will do his best job in not allowing him to develop past that straight line ability. He'll have him running Madden routes. But anyway, I'm not gonna lie to you. Before I say it, Harbs seems like the coach that would do that. Oh, we see some plays on Madden that we liked, and we want to try them on
I don't know.
field.
I'd probably have to go over and own these mills and smack him upside his head. Like, listen, you old freak. Go ahead and coach us better than this.
But anyway, hopefully Harbs isn't watching this. But anyway, his overview.
Ain't
He
watching
presents.
this. I was probably watching some Duvernay college footage and freaking creaming his pants again.
Flipping over his desk. Ah! All right. Or he's saying so I should have used him. All right, all right, all right. Anyways, getting into his overview. Uh, Brian Thomas Jr., he presents an appealing combination of size, length, and speed with experience working inside and outside. Thomas will occasionally go through the motions as a route runner, but the bend, athleticism, and speed needed to get better are all in the toolbox. He's elusive against press and can uncover quickly underneath, but he still needs to improve intermediate routes and play a little bit more physically when crowded to become well-rounded. Thomas rarely has issues generating separation deep and could be counted on as an NFL team's designated deep guy early in his career. Thomas is unpolished but has projectable talent to become a wide receiver one slash two in time.
Yeah, so to move on to his strengths, good job of steering clear of press hands during release. Short area shake helps uncover for quick hitters underneath. Able to bend hips and sit in the chair at route breaks. Now, why would we want him sitting in the chair during the game? This is my weekly dad joke. Anyways, straight line speed takes him into top position on go routes. Outstanding ball tracker who can bring it in over the shoulder. Sorry, I started to call for a second.
I was gonna call.
Lengthen, he said was lengthen burst to run down and secure potential overthrows. Led nation with 17 receiving scores at a pace of one every four catches. So damn, that's impressive as hell.
I'm not gonna say you're funny because I remember earlier in this draft video, you said you had your allergy drafting them, but you were laughing on the side of the video. We saw you. We saw you. But
Well, they can't see
anyway,
me.
anyways,
Stupid.
his weakness. You're stupid. But anyways, his weaknesses. He needs to pick up his route pace and salesmanship. That's a pro. See what?
What the hell is he selling cars?
Are they car dealers? But they talked about Tyler Guyton having a side door or whatever. Like, come on, what are these guys car dealerships? But anyways, he will battle occasional focus drops. Can avoid catch contact by working back to the throw. Fast but possesses average run after catch talent. Might need to ramp up physicality against clingy coverage.
Yeah, so honestly, him and Mitchell will probably be my favorite receivers in the draft. You kind of seem like you're, sharing the same sentiment. But we gotta get tackles, man. Lamar can't be back there throwing to these guys if he's on his ass. So, um,
Can't you
yeah,
can't count Falafel back there blocking for him.
Ja Falafel. What?
It was a play on Falele's name. I called him Falafel. It was
I did
just
not know what you were meaning. But anyways, that'll be all for our wide receivers here in our first round kind of talk. Here we're gonna move on to the last position of need, which is cornerbacks. And the first player we are going to talk about is Cool and the Gang. Well, I don't like
look at
copyright this
look at
now.
look at his real name, Gay Quincy, Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Was that really his name?
Yeah, Gay Quincy Kool-Aid
It's not
McKinstry.
Gay Quincy, it's Quincy.
Good Quincy. Good Quincy Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Anyways,
I would love to hear the announcers try to pronounce that name.
a good corner. That's probably what it was there. Mess it up.
I thought you were doing some type of wildcat call over there. You were like screaming in the air, roaring, whatever.
Can you stop? I'm off camera
Maybe
for a
you
reason.
really,
Shut
maybe
up.
you really are Raven.
Anyways, to
He's
move
doing Raven
on.
calls over here.
All right,
All right, all right,
TJ,
all right, all right.
TJ, come
All right,
on.
but let's get into Kool-Aid McKinstry. So he played at Alabama, which, as I said when we were talking about Latham, is one of the best colleges you could play at as a football player. And apparently as a basketball player too. But you
I
know,
don't know why I did that.
he's 5'11 and a half. He's 199 pounds, so we just say he's 200 pounds. He has a 32-inch arm, and 8.5 when it comes to his hands. So, he has pretty small hands. He has decent arm size. His height, that doesn't seem too appealing, matching up against, some of the receivers. You got guys like Jamar Chase and the Jamar Chases, the DJ Moores, the AJ Browns of the NFL, Justin Jeffersons, they're all like 6'2" and up, it seems like. So, we could kind of struggle against those guys. I don't know if the Ravens were to draft him, would we even put him on them? But his kind of height is a little bit is kind of undersized and small for a corner. Getting down to a score breakdown, he has a total score of 83. He's the fifth ranked cornerback in this year's combine, which is pretty good. He's top five.
We didn't
We,
do the combine.
he didn't do the combine.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, well, out of this year's draft class, fifth ranked cornerback. But just kind of my thoughts about him before you talk about him. We watched his tape. He has very good vision. He was always had his eyes on the ball. He's very physical, which I think can make up for, his lack of height, as a cornerback. He's very physical. It seems like he's always making a contestant catch for, whatever receiver he's guarding. And, that's something that, Ravens corners definitely play by. They're very physical, very all up on you, very wanting to jam you, and just make life hard for you the whole 60 minutes in that football game. So that's something that definitely sticks out about his tape. He's also a very good tackler. We've seen him tackle Bijan Robinson, a very good tackle against him in open field. Um, and he's also a very good blitzer as well, you know.
Right.
So, pretty good overview. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, so like some of the intangibles I have here, good vision, reads play well, tracks the ball well too. He's not that fast, but he has good play speed. He's very handsy, physical, and hits hard. One-on-one dominant, it seems. Good recovery speed, swats ball pretty well and versatile. The kind of like how you mentioned, he can come on the blitz, and he has kind of safety techniques in certain times. Some of the highlights we were watching. Um, but he is possibly undersized and a guy we kind of plays like Marlon. Like unless Marlon's not coming back here, you know, after his contract renews, then I really don't see a reason to draft him. So, you know, I don't know. I'm a big Kool-Aid fan, but meaning the drink too, but also the player. But I don't know if he'd really be a fit for us this year. It's like you kind of have that in Marlowe already, but just younger now. So, but anyways, you can go ahead and read his overview here.
Yeah, plus, we also do have Brandon Stevens and Jalen Armour Davis. I'm not gonna lie.
No, no, no. We don't have Jalen
Let
Armour
me just
Davis.
say
He's
this.
trash.
Let me
No,
just I feel like Jalen Armour Davis is
no,
to make a big step up.
no.
You see, he really hates J.
No,
Davis. But okay, going on to
I'm better than Jalen
overview.
Davis.
Going on to his overview.
You're better than Jalen Davis.
That was low. That was a low blow there.
I guess it's
But
really not that hard anyway.
yeah, we'll try guarding Jamar Chase. All right, but anyways, 3 years.
You try guarding Jamar Chase.
Try guarding.
Can you read the
Can you
overview?
let me read the overview? 3 year starter and former 5-star prospect with a quirky name and consistent game. McKinstry is patient and well groomed in matching the outside release and riding the insane release from press. He's confident to handle business on an island and is able to stay in phase as the route travels vertically. He's not overly fast, but does play with plus acceleration to close out crossing routes or make aggressive plays on the catch point. As with most college corners, McKinstry will need to transition some of his open field usage into quality footwork to avoid downfield penalties. He's more aggressive in coverage than he is as a tackler and could find himself forced to prove his toughness in that area. McKinstry is a bit more of a pure cover man than a playmaker, but his poise, intelligence, and athleticism should lead him towards becoming a great outside corner with scheme versatility.
To move on to his strengths here, he's a smart football player with good communication on the back and slides and rides the release to stall takeoff and timing off the route of the route. Balance and athleticism to remain in phase with receivers. Does a nice job of reading receivers' eyes to gain intel. Plays with poise and patience when tracking deep throw targets. Possesses rapid acceleration to close quickly on throws. Is that what they set up in the overview? Um, Well-timed punches, claws, chops, knocks away on catch attempts, and a highly capable punt returner. You can read the weaknesses here.
Yeah, so his weaknesses is he has better short area bursts and full field speed. Tugs receiver at breakpoint instead of relying on his feet. Bad habit of sleeping on the play when he's not directly targeted. Consistent to stay in the backdrop as a run defender. Inconsistent reaction time to route combinations from zone.
Yeah, so I mean, good intangibles here. Some of his weaknesses do have me a little bit concerned, especially with stuff you can't teach, with like kind of his laziness when he plays with not targeted. So maybe a Marcus Peters like, possibly. I wouldn't necessarily be mad if we selected him, but I kind of would because cornerback's kind of like the third area of need, along with like maybe like edge. But there's no edge guys I have coming to Baltimore here besides maybe like Chop Robinson, but I don't know how I feel about that, personally. But I think we're probably done with Kool Aid. You want to move on to Cooper DeJean or DeJean, however you want to say it.
So we can move to Dejean. Yep.
Cooper DeJean.
Yep. So here's Cooper DeJean. It comes from Iowa. Who Iowa breeds a lot of good football players. Obviously they're known for breeding a lot of offensive linemen, offensive tackles. But Iowa breeds dogs. I can't even lie. But Cooper DeJean, he's 6 foot and a half. He's 203 pounds, 31-inch arms, 9.5 inch hands. He has pretty average size for a corner. He definitely is, taller than Kool-Aid McKinstry. He weighs more than McKinstry, I think. And he's the third ranked cornerback in this year's draft. So, has a total score of 85. So that's looking pretty good. Can we go down to his draft combine?
He didn't do it.
He didn't do it. See, that seems like a very good trend with the prospects this year. They're not doing the combine.
Lazy. It's like, no, I'm playing.
They must take a page out of Caleb Williams' book. But I'll just talk about him, then you can. We looked at his tape as well. He has very good vision. I think we saw him on kick returns as well. He kind of has like that sort of running back vision. He's really good with that. How Harbs is with his special teams. That's sort of his bread
Yeah,
and
he'll probably flip out if we draft him again, like how he did
yeah,
Duvernay.
yeah. That's sort of his bread and butter. And he kind of reminds me of Ladarius Webb in a way. If where we can get him, we have that sort of flexibility to put him at corner and use him with the kick returns and the punt returns. Kind of having that good vision like how Ladarius Webb had. So I like that a lot. We did see him get a lot of interceptions. He has great balance of his body. There was one interception he had. I don't really remember. I think maybe it was against Northwestern or Wisconsin or something. It was like a sideline interception that, he really had good feet, good body control to really, keep that play in downs and really get the pick for his team. So I think he's a great cornerback prospect. He's very, he is athletic. He has great, vision. And he's a dog. He really is. So what are your thoughts about him?
Yeah, so some of the things I wrote about him is he's definitely a ball hawk, probably more than the average cornerback. Great hands and footwork, punt return ability, something you had mentioned. He also can kind of slide to safety as well. So maybe we can get back to that, kind of what we were doing last year, have Stone out there, Williams and Hamilton, kind of that three safety set, so maybe that's something to think about, kind of keep Hamilton in that slot. He is a press corner. Make sure you need to keep him physical, and he is elite run defender. Some of the things that did kind of turn us off was while he was very smart, and when it came to the run game, um, he didn't seem to be that much of a strong tackler. He seemed to kind of tackle kind of weak, I guess, in a way. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'll kind of explain that in a second. Smallish slash not great wingspan, not wrapping up on tackles, leaves too much space underneath. So, you know, with the tackling part, we've seen a lot of kind of weakest tackles from like maybe like Marlon Humphrey per se, or maybe even Marcus Peters, so he definitely like arm tackled a lot. He didn't seem to put a lot of his body into the tackles when it came to the running back. So, and it was a lot of up. You guys can't see me right now, but I'm like pointing at like my shoulders and like my chest. Like that's kind of where he seemed like he was going for instead of wrapping up by the legs. Kind of stopping the guy's momentum or whatnot. But and then sometimes it took a little bit of help to get him to make tackles happen. So that's something to really worry about. But we know our defense like to swarm on people, so maybe that won't be that much of an issue as maybe like another team will. So you can go over the overview here.
Yeah, and I just want to say you took the words right out of my mouth because that kind of goes both ways. He wasn't a strong tackler. It seemed like he kind of relied on, maybe kind of, wrapping guys up at first and then relying on the gang tackles to come and finish off, what he kind of started with the tackles. So, we know the Ravens like to gang tackle a lot, especially after Marlowe, he likes to it's kind of disappointing with his tackling this previous season, but I see that I see what you're saying with that. But going into his overview, highly competitive defensive back with plus ball skills and noteworthy special teams value, which I mentioned earlier in comparison to Ladarius Webb. DeJean is big and bundled for a cornerback. Very interesting word choices here again. With muscular arms and tight hips, he has fantastic interception production, but his movements are more linear than fluid, and he doesn't have the easy change of direction needed in man coverage on the next level. His best football is played with his eyes forward. I think everybody's best football is played with their eyes forward. Um, Using his instincts. I mean, I guess I can see. I guess I can kind of understand what they mean by that. Using his instincts to challenge quarterbacks in his big downhill burst to smack whatever needs smacking. He would seem to be a no-brainer as a punt returning gunner in year one. DeJean should be a big athletic tester, which will help get the hype train going, but finding a proper schematic fit would be important in unlocking his best football as a zone corner or interchangeable safety.
Yeah, so to move on to his strengths, starting experience at strong safety and cornerback, explosive explosive athlete, hitting markers in height, weight, and speed, instinctive zone defender, ready to feast on quarterbacks with poor eye discipline, tracks the pass and plays the entry point with big burst to close. Ball skills of a receiver, finishing with 7 career interceptions, 3 return for scores. Charges hard and slams into pass catchers. Can provide intermediate help as a punt returner and gunner if called upon. Some of his weaknesses are hip tightness, will be hard to overcome in man coverage, struggles to open hips and find sudden acceleration against press release, fails to turn and find the football when traveling with deep routes, played a series of bad offenses and wasn't challenged as much in 2023. Below average length, allows some slippage as a wrap up tackler. So it kind of that last part with the tackling bit, kind of really solidifies, with my theory, he's not the best tackler, but he definitely has the smarts to be a good tackler. And if he continue to bulk up, maybe he can get into one of those elite cornerback ranges, that we see in this league. So um, you know, I like Cooper DeJean. I think he'd be a good pick for us. But I wouldn't be thrilled selecting the corner in the first round, to be honest. So if you don't got anything else to say, we can move on to our last cornerback prospect and our last first round prospect, Nate Wiggins.
Let's move on.
All right, sir.
On to Mr. Wiggins.
I didn't space it out.
Nate Wiggins. All right, so Nate Wiggins has did it again. He played with Clemson, which kind of has gone downhill as a football program, in the collegiate level, ever since they lost Travis Travis, no,
Trevor
Lawrence,
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, whatever his name is, he's forgettable. But his height, he's 6'1", weighs 173 pounds, 30 and a half inch arm length, 9-inch hands, so he has average arm and hand size, he has great height for a cornerback, 6'1". He has the average cornerback build, that we're looking for. We go down to his score. Fourth ranked cornerback prospect in the 2024 draft. So, he's pretty good. A 4.28 40-yard dash. So he has blazing speed. His
Yep.
comp results are really good. They really jump out at you. I feel like, looking at, just, on paper, he's definitely one of the more intriguing cornerback prospects for the Ravens, I would say. I love his size, 6'1". Like I said, he has a ideal cornerback build. And he's very fast, and that'll be helpful in reading plays and kind of getting pick sixes and stuff like that, and just keeping up with fast receivers. That'll be really, really helpful for him. So, what are your thoughts about him?
Yeah, some of the intangibles I had, the first one I wrote was fast. So with that 428, combine, just absolutely perfect. Elite athlete, good with hands, ran a 4.28 like you just mentioned. He has a lot of area to grow. He's only 20 years old. And I wrote has the aura. And I mean that in the sense that, he has kind of like how Mims I was talking about. He has that dog in him, and really likes to, get in players' face, kind of asserts his dominance as well, so that'd be nice to have since, a lot of our corners don't seem to have that right now. Some of his weaknesses, he struggles to stay healthy. Short arm length hurts in tackling. Needs to put on some pounds. Struggling with ball skills, run support. It's kind of lacking, and that's kind of all the negative intangibles I have here. Some concerning ones, but definitely not anything too bad. Something that some things are definitely coachable here. He can put on some pounds. He's young. He's going to grow more. So, some of those things you can't teach. You just got to wait for that to develop in. So, and I really like the speed as well. It'd be really nice to have a fast corner.
Oh yeah, and it kind of reminds me of Kerry Williams a little bit with his size. Kerry Williams was a very tall and long corner. He did pretty well for us. So to go into his overview, Wiggins' combination of coverage talent and traits can make him a defensive coordinator's dream. He's tall, long, and fast with rare recovery speed when beaten. Silky smooth lower body movement allows him to mirror releases and trace routes without much effort. He can squeeze a little tighter from the off-man coverage, while his range as a cover three cornerback makes him a dangerous option to throw near. He plays with good recognition and elite burst to the throw, which can lead to a Pro Bowl production if he can play with more consistent decisiveness. He needs to become a tougher player in run support, and when contesting catches against NFL size, Wiggins' speed, scheme versatility, and playmaking instincts should make him the most sought after cornerback in the draft. That's very high praise.
Yep. Um, to move on to the strengths, long frame should be able to support adding good weight, smooth back pedal and a man athletic field coverage and cover three, outstanding feel for rhythm of the route, hips on a swivel for easy lateral transitions, feet and balance help to phase routes up and down the sideline, instinctive with ability to read clues quarterbacks and receivers provide. Oh, I see. Blazing recovery speed to return to run and catch just about anyone. Had two pick sixes with a field goal blocked off the edge on his career. So some pretty good intangibles here. For Nate Wiggins, you can read off the weaknesses.
Yeah, when it comes to weaknesses, too much cushion allowed in off-man coverage. I mean, I don't know why they put that because they say that he has the speed to catch up, to just
Right.
about anybody. So I guess that explains that.
Well, I guess
Tar
because I mean that's college, you know. I mean,
yeah,
it could be
timing
trouble.
to flip and run with the route allowed deep ball opportunities, face guards deep balls, leaving too much catch clearance for the target. Still room for additional aggression and decisiveness in attacking throws. Awareness and efforts. Awareness and effort was disappointing in run support. Kind of sound like Mike Tyson there a little bit, but you know, a lot of his weaknesses, they can be coached. It seemed like, if he really just adds more aggressiveness to his game and has a little bit more, healthy weight and strength, he'll be a dog. And those are two things that can easily be added on. And I think as he gets more bigger when it comes to his weight, adding more muscle, and as he, does well and becomes a great cornerback in the league, that aggressiveness will come more with the confidence. So I really like him as a cornerback. I think he's the number one cornerback the Ravens could get. It seemed like a guy like Quinion Mitchell will be taken very early. I think Terrion Arnold is another name that will be gone by the time, we're drafted at 30. So, I like Nate Wiggins a lot out of the guys we mentioned. What about you?
Yep. I think probably out of the three, Cooper's probably my favorite, just because his versatility of being able to move to safety and his ball hawking ability. We kind of have lacked that in our secondary. So I don't know. To me, I think Cooper would probably be the guy to go if he were to go in corner, but Wiggins is definitely enticing just because of his speed. So, um, you know, I'm not too high on Kool-Aid just because we already have Marlon on the team. He's kind of just seems like he's just another Marlo. So I think probably Cooper would probably be the guy I would get. Getting that first white corner for forever.
He's a dog too. So, think that's all the prospects that we have, at least first round prospects. It was very fun making this video. A lot of talented guys that we looked at. Definitely tell us your guys' thoughts in the comments. Who do you want us to get? When it comes to OT, wide receiver, or cornerback, who would you guys prefer? Definitely let us know in the comments. You already know who we like, watching the video, but that's all we got for you guys today. Make sure to check out our socials. Make sure to check out our Instagram, our Twitter, our TikTok. Jared's been doing his thing on Instagram with the Orioles graphics and everything that he's been doing there and making. Shout out to him. Make sure you guys also check out our second channel, Casual Cinema. There's a lot of great movies coming out, and we'll get to them. But that's all we got for you today. We're Birds of Prey Sports, TJ and Jared, and we're out.
Bro.